What's up, everybody? Welcome to yet another special episode of the CEO's Guide to Marketing. This one is kind of a follow-up to what we did at our Aspen CMO Summit, and it was filmed right before Thanksgiving at our Europe Summit in London. As we did in Aspen, we asked over a dozen CMOs and leading marketers the same two questions. And what you're going to hear are their answers to those questions. And the two questions, again, were, what do you think marketing is today? And given everything changed and changing, do you think, tools aside, that it's going to stay the same moving forward? Will marketing still be marketing? The second question is, you're walking down the hallway and the CEO of an enormous company comes up to you and says, hey, you're really smart. I don't know a lot about marketing, but I'd like to. Where would you start? What would you tell them the fundamentals and single or maybe two most important things to know about marketing are to ensure that it's a driver of sustainable and profitable growth? As we did with our Aspen special episode, we invite you to listen to the commonalities, the nuances, and the differences, because in there may be things that both reinforce what you think, but maybe even more importantly, provoke you to think about things in a different way. We hope you enjoy it, and we have nothing but thanks for the CMOs and other marketers who participated with us. With no further ado, recorded live on tape, here's another special episode of the CEO's Guide to Marketing from our London CMO Summit. Thanks.
I feel like organizations and brands are mixing up the definition of marketing. And the reason why is they're utilizing marketing as a catch-all phrase for branding, advertising, and marketing. Marketing, in fact, is the strategy that you use to get to your target consumer. Your brand is the promise that you're making to consumers, and advertising is the paid media channels that you're using to get to consumers. So when we think about marketing, it's actually the strategy and the engine behind what we're doing every single day. I think this will continue to accelerate with all the technologies that are existing in the world today, and marketing will only become more powerful, but marketing can only be powerful if your brand promise exists and if your paid advertising is effective.
Marketing is fundamentally the same today, and it is really about harnessing consumer insights to drive business outcomes. And will that change tomorrow? I think the big thing with tomorrow is the pace with which we'll be able to gather consumer insights is accelerating, and so hyper-personalization is going to require us to work at a much faster pace. That's the biggest change, but the fundamentals remain the same.
I'm really pleased that marketing is pivoting back towards brand marketing. There was a period where everyone was getting really obsessed with data because it was a new medium. There was lots of data available. And I feel like as an industry, we lost the creativity. The reason why I got into marketing in the first place is because I'm obsessed with storytelling and narrative and creativity. And ultimately, that's what drives brand value the most. And it's what makes people fall in love with your brand.
The role of marketing today, and I believe will continue to be in the future, is to be the growth engine of a business, to be a driver of competitive, profitable, sustainable, and impactful growth. I believe that in the age of AI, the marketing will have to evolve in delivering the how to achieve the growth. As new Gen AI tools as well as new channels become much more democratized, adopted by everyone, I think we're going to have to adapt as marketers. The fundamentals will still remain the same, but I do believe that with these new, fantastic, and upcoming Gen AI tools, we're going to have to be even more creative, human, empathetic, to really connect meaningfully with consumers to drive growth.
So I think about marketing as a growth driver for a business's commercial ambitions and its ultimate mission. And everything is always changing around us. Consumer needs are changing, expectations are changing, competitive dynamics are changing, the technologies that we use are changing. But I suppose the best intentions of marketing, so obsessing about current and future audiences and finding ways to meaningfully connect them with your product, those things should never change.
Well, marketing is in a transition moment, for sure, and it always is. But I believe that the marketing of the now, not just the future, is one where we are building worlds, not ads, where we're building worlds that people want to play in, contribute to, co-create with, and experiment in. And if we think about the old world being one of an attention economy, in today's world and in the future world, we need to create value through not just being culturally resonant, but also really valuing people's contributions in this co-creation. And if I think of the brands of the future that will be successful, they are the brands that are building worlds, that are building ecosystems, and ones that keep surprising people.
I think marketing as a discipline is always going to remain consistent. It's about engaging with the people who matter to you, to share something that you think is of value and to communicate that. In the future, that discipline is going to remain as important as ever. The conditions around it are going to change. The speed, the level of insight that you can get is going to evolve. But understanding your art and the science behind it is going to be as critical as it always was.
I think marketing today is about creating value. And I think it does that through three things. Firstly, by understanding audiences and prospecting them for growth. Secondly, it's this stewardship of an intangible but hugely valuable asset, which is a thing called brand. And thirdly, I think it's the creativity and inventiveness of finding out new ways to monetize that asset, which is the brand itself. In terms of how it's going to change, I believe that those three things will fundamentally be true now and decades henceforth. How we get there, the speed with which we do it, where we add value, where we outsource versus automate, all of those things will change. But in essence, that North Star will remain true.
Well, marketing is not anymore about pushing awareness and messages, but instead is about earning relevance. People judge the motives of brands. So that's the number one job marketing departments have to do. Earn the reason for the people to trust them. Where is it heading? Of course, AI will influence a lot, especially the context, but the fundamentals will remain the same. Creativity, empathy, trust. This will be always there. But there is one thing that AI will not replace, and that is the human ability to feel culture, empathy, tension, and make people feel.
I think marketing as the creator of meaning is timeless, but we have been under a huge change brought about by digital technologies and the emergence of the mobile phone. This change continues unabated, and with the arrival of artificial intelligence, I think there is a risk of commodification, there is a risk of acceleration which we cannot handle, and there is a risk of fragmentation. That said, marketing has a unique opportunity as being the creator of meaning. If there is one human that can stay in the loop, I think the marketer is entitled to be that person, because last I heard it was artificial intelligence and not artificial imagination.
Marketing is all about creating demand for your brand or demand generation. Second is earning a premium for your brand. And then third is translating that demand or desire into commerce. So it's converting it into commerce. So at the end of the day, marketing is about sales.
I think the role of marketing is probably the same as it's always been. It's there to help you create, capture and sustain value. I think it's fundamentally about understanding people and what they want from you, and then designing your products and services to enable you to play that role in their lives. And then it's about how you capture that value with them and from them. So I think for me, it's both still a really fundamental strategy to help grow and protect your business, and it's also a capability that you need to kind of get a lot better at to do so.
Well, I think marketing as a role has really not changed, and it's an obsession with the customer, purely and simply, and that runs all the way through from brand to execution. And it's not just talking about your product, it's talking to the customer in their voice in relevant ways. I think we're seeing a convergence of AI, regulation, tools are changing, but ultimately it's how you reach the customer in the right time, on their premises, and in the way in which they want to be spoken to. Those are really the key things that really drive the success of marketing, in my opinion.
I think the role of marketing today, it's in a bit of a confused place, if I'm quite honest. The craft that it used to be was missed in all the new news and all the transformation that we have currently in branding, in advertising, and in competition. But I think this is not a bad thing. I think this is an opportunity for pivot and transformation. And I think this is exactly why we should think that what it should be in the future is a better mix between what it should be the craft of marketing that is really looking at brands and products that solve end-to-end consumer unmet needs and not just opportunistic, and build relationships and build, through not just attention grabbing, but through really solving and building things that people don't even know yet that they need. I think this is the future role of marketing. And when we think about how can we do that, I think we cannot forget that now we have much more information that allows us to be more precise and use that to inform our decisions. I think one of the things that we need to learn is with the plethora of information and data, some people are looking at this to take decision, or all this data to take decision for them. And I think the magic is using all those data to transform itself in insights and then help to inform decisions. And then courage and leadership and great foundations will be the really great platform for us to continue to transform this craft.
Oh, my favorite question. What I always say is I am a business person first and foremost, and I think that's critical for a CEO to understand. I just happen to major in marketing to solve business problems. And so in order for marketers to be successful, they absolutely have to have a seat at the strategic table. And then from there, they're the ones leveraging the consumer insights to fuel your product roadmap and your product strategy. They're leveraging those insights to also fuel what we do from a marketing standpoint, from a campaign perspective, and all of the great things that we do from a marketing standpoint, but we're more than just pretty pictures.
I would say thank you for accepting the fact that you need to learn. And then I would proceed to tell him or her that marketing is not about advertising or communication alone. Marketing is the underpinning of what makes your business grow. And what you call a brand is how the outsiders look at your enterprise. I would continue to tell him or her that a great brand never destroyed a business, but a bad business destroyed many great brands. I would say that a brand is a compounding financial asset. It is an accelerator of sale. It reduces future cost of sales. And most importantly, it is what makes you stand apart. So if you are to decode meaning, if you are to address your audience, if you are to create a market, if you are to create meaning, memory, method, and most importantly, emotion, please think of marketing as capital, not as cost.
I would be interested to know how they got this far without developing some sort of rudimentary understanding. I would be telling that CEO that marketing is the best place for them to find out about the things that really matter to them. The products that they develop, how people perceive them, and ultimately the customers that they're trying to serve. It's the best gateway that exists for them to understand what sits behind their role within the company and ultimately how they're going to drive the company forward.
I think a lot of people talk about what marketing is for them and their business and how it helps their business. I would say go and investigate what it is for you and your business. What role does it play? And I think because you can get told a lot that it's a one-size-fits-all version of it, and I think you need to deeply understand what roles it play in your sector and your brand for your customers and for your audiences. And I think the second thing is just break it down to its brutal simplicity, which is that it is about how you understand people and what they want. Is how you then create and capture that value from them and what you make and build. And it's also then how you communicate that value. I think we reduce it too often to being about advertising and performance marketing and things. And actually, I think it's fundamentally way more important than that. And I think, CFOs understand margin and resilience and revenue. And I think when you think about the brittle simplicity of brand being one of the most important and tangible assets that you have as your business, marketing really is how you grow that and how you protect it. And I think it's an incredibly important resilience and financial lever for you as a business.
First of all, I would incentivize all the CEOs to do this, to ask that question. I think the first thing is to recognize that asking a question and being curious is already a great first step. Number one, I think, so being curious, check. Number two, make sure that you don't get seduced by very complex conversations full of acronyms and jargons. I think surrounding yourself with great partners and great teams that master the ability to transform complex topics into simple terms, I think it's another one that helps. Third one, do not forget that you are a consumer. You might not be the consumer for your own products, but you're a consumer. What are the things that moved you recently? Which are the things that made you rethink of a brand, made you more in love with the brand, made you rethink your choices? If you keep thinking about this, you will always step into the shoes of the people that, as marketeers, we have to serve. If the CEOs do that, I would be completely happy and amazed, and I think they will have a much closer proximity and intimacy with the craft.
I always start by saying this is not the coloring department. Instead, marketing is the team, the function that defines the reason consumers select the brand over the others. And marketing and brand is not limited to campaigns. For it to work perfectly, it needs to influence and define all product, culture, internal culture as well, decisions to go to market. That's the only way this can work. And actually, marketing as a function is not a soft function. It's not a support function. It's the most strategic lever for growth and long-term growth.
Marketing isn't a department. It's what creates value and connective tissue for your whole business. And if you prioritize it, marketing will in turn prioritize you, because it can help decrease your cost of customer acquisition. It will build loyalty. It will yield connection that actually has a resonance, an emotional resonance to it. It will protect you in times of need. And the compound value that you receive from marketing is exponential.
It's the fun part. I would tell them it is where the most joy, freedom, creativity sits right alongside commercial rigor, business acumen, and growth mindset. It's a wonderful place, kind of like a Goldilocks between these two worlds where they don't compete but perfectly complement each other.
The first thing I would say is it's about how you communicate with your customer. So you need to understand your product, your customer, where they're spending their time, and what the things are that's going to engage them. So for example, if you're trying to engage young people who are chronically online, then you should probably start doing things on TikTok and, behaving on TikTok in a way that they're used to experiencing that content. So with Loewe, for example, we went onto TikTok, realized quite swiftly that it's not really a social media platform, it's an entertainment platform, and designed our content to be as entertaining as possible, number one. Number two, to ensure that we put our brand in each piece of content. And then number three, we thought about the product, not the other way around, which you might do in some different platforms.
Marketing is a mix of the things you say, what you choose to say, and where you say them, all in service of business growth. And it's about understanding audiences today, understanding the audiences tomorrow, and how you might get to reach those people. It is a short-term and a long-term intention, and it has to be thought of as such. So you have to think about the lens of short-term impact, but what are you building to across the long term? And I think the last thing I would say is that it can't be thought of as separate from product. Product and marketing have to be built together, because ultimately they deliver the experience that your users get to interact with.
The first thing that I would say to a CEO is that your marketing is driving your revenue. And the reason why is because you cannot be relevant in the world of products if you are not having an effective marketing spend and if you don't have an authentic brand promise. So the first thing that I would say to any CEO is that marketing serves as a catalyst for revenue and growth.
Marketing is about understanding consumers, be ahead of trends as well as macro shifts like AI, understanding the implications of those into the business, and more importantly, translating the insights into business value. Two, I would say marketing can really impact the two key drivers to bring total shareholder return for a public company or enterprise value, which is revenue growth as well as ROIC, return on capital investment. And three, I would say even more so in the age of AI, marketing can really lead on two fronts. One, bring what's the latest in terms of consumers, how they are changing given AI, how they are living, how their behavior and their expectations, and how we can capture that to become business value. And two, be the lighthouse inside of the enterprise to unlock AI, to bring productivity on the bottom line as well as growth.
The role of marketing is more dynamic today than it's ever been. And I like to think about the role of marketing as change management. Marketing has always been about understanding what people desire and delivering it in your messaging, in your product lineup, in your whole mix, in your whole strategy. But today, that's more dynamic than ever before. The role of marketeers or marketers is to clarify what stays the same and what needs to change. What stays the same, the fundamentals of marketing, who you're marketing to, what it is they want, and then how you market. The change is how to market. When we're marketing in a world where we're reaching people and machines, we're using AI, we have social media, and who knows what's next. So at the end, the role of marketing is to be that change management officer. I say that's the role of the CMO, and it's clarifying the fundamentals of what stays the same and what needs to change.
Marketing at the end of the day is not discretionary. It's an investment in growth for the business. And it's really how you put the brand in front of the consumer, drive trust and drive relevance to actually deliver value to the bottom line to the business, but with the consumer very much at heart.